So you might be saying, David, you've got this interesting, Apple device here. I thought you were an Android user. You're right, I am, aside from my iPad. I don't know why I keep looking up there for the camera. And that works great with Procreate. Eventually, I'll find something that works on Android for tablet wise so I can do drawing and get back to that. But I also have this fun little thing. Why do my hands look so dirty on the camera? They do not look dirty here. Do not understand. Okay. Anyways, I got this for Father's Day, and it looked like a really cool idea because it has a hard drive inside of it, and it works with Ethernet, and it has Wi-Fi. So it'd be, a great little NAS, that I could throw videos onto, and everything would be good to go. But it runs underneath SMB 1.0, and it's kind of a WannaCry level security threat. So this can't be on my network. But I also love doing things with Linux, and I thought, you know what, this is a great opportunity to do a teardown and show this, and then kind of turn it into like its own little NAS and maybe solder in some ports here. So this way we have the same Ethernet capabilities, as well as maybe put in a set it up for Wi-Fi to broadcast Wi-Fi and kind of retain some of the original functionality. I searched everywhere. I love my iFixit toolkit. Hoping that I can maybe get into a partnership program eventually with them, but I can't find it. And the last time I saw it, I was helping a buddy of mine who owns a repair shop. And so I don't know where my Jimmy tool or my toolkit is. So what we have tonight is a magnet mat, and that makes a nice little stick because this desk that I use is made out of ferrous material. So there's that. We have a guitar pick, and we have my favorite screwdriver, which is the LTT screwdriver. I don't know why it looks red on that camera. It's very much so an orange tip. So we're going to go ahead and crack on into this. Now, I did notice that there is no teardown guide on iFixit's website for this. So I'm going to be taking pictures throughout this process. So this way we can actually get a proper teardown put together. So first things first, we're going to want to come in from the side here. And hopefully, because I can only find one guitar pick, hopefully we're able to do it with one. Well, come on, you chinky jerk. Okay. We got one side. This might be the last device this guitar pick ever opens up. Which would be great if I had, a Jimmy tool from iFixit. I do. It's not on me. I can't find it. You just got to get underneath those clips. It's kind of like with the old iPod touches and stuff like that in the original iPod. Just some friction clips, and you just kind of got to get shoved past them, and then you can get in there. I know this because I've already taken this apart just to kind of see like what we were looking at on the inside of it when I first got it for Father's Day. Because, in our household, you give dad something, he wants to take it apart. I might actually have to find that iFixit kit. Because there's some Torx screws in here and whatnot that we got to get into. I opened it up. That doesn't mean I tore it all the way down. Oh man, it is covered in just nastiness. That was a mistake. All right. First question: how do we deal with the fact that I don't have? I need a bit to get into this. Give me a moment. Let me scrounge around and see what I can find. All right. I got it. It's a T8. So we're going to go ahead and take our LTT screwdriver real quick. Put that bit right there. And let's go ahead and remove the, on earth. There we go. All right. That little plate came off. It's got a little rubber grommet. All right, so we're going to take a look inside of here. We'll take a picture really fast. Then we'll take a picture. Let's see. Kind of need. Let's see what other answer I got. All right, so bright as hell. Let's see. What do we got here? Take a picture of what we got here. All right. Now we're just going to go ahead and pop up these FPC connectors. Go. One. Oh, they're not. They're kind of. Are these ZIF? No, these aren't a ZIF. Zero insertion port. This is going to be an FPC. I never quite questioned that. I always called them FPCs. Such a bad angle. I'm sorry that you guys can't see anything here. Go. And then their FPC right there. Actually, we should be able to just wiggle this one out by hand. Now that the other two are free. There we go. So, we got these two ZIF connectors here. Power cable just lifts out. Aha. All right. So we're going to go ahead and pull this forward. I should probably adjust the camera because I keep going to the back of the thing here. Here we go. So this pulls out. Well, wait a second. Here we have the very tiny looking pins for the SATA connection. All right. So then this hard disk pulled out. It does just lift out. And it's got its own little rubber feet. Look at that. Okay, so this is a 2000 gig drive. So we'll slot this into my drive caddy because I don't want this to go to waste. And the end result product that we're going to be working with, we'll be putting in a SSD instead of a spinning rust drive. We'll go ahead and just throw this off to the side on my little shelf down here. Now, more entertaining idea. Ooh. I see. See, says the blind man. Okay, so there are some screws down there. So we're going to need a adapter. No, we're not. No, we're not. I already have. I think I should be able to get to it with the. It looks like there's a heatsink down in here, right? At the top. And I see there's this metal casing here. I'm going to press this one that way. Then pull up that side. We're going to go ahead and pull on this one. Here we go. It does have a little fan. Look at that puppy right there. That's pretty solid. And it's got the Wi-Fi antennas and whatnot up here. And we just have the empty housing right here. Which, yeah. My end goal is to be able to slot something like this inside, right, with like a Netgear box into it, and then do some shenanigans for this. This LED though is just a indicator LED, I might be able to wire this LED in to the end product with the with everything. So, and we might be able to even wire in this button. Then this is going to be the power supply. Now, this power supply might be useful for other projects in the future. Do keep in mind that this is a power supply, right? So the capacitors could store a lot of danger for a long time that could make your heart stop and never work again. So just keep in mind that this type of crap is dangerous. I might look like an idiot that doesn't know much when it comes to a lot of things, but 20 years of taking apart electronics, you know, plus then taking apart electronics as a child and talking with I used to have neighbors that worked for Foxconn for Texas Instruments and whatnot. Um, one of my neighbors actually worked for Texas, and one of not neighbors but neighbor enough. We lived in the same town. Actually used to work for, holy shenanigans. Okay, that's dangerous. Yeah, that's called take your finger off 5 million. Let's see what we got in here though. All right. Just a basic power supply. What output? 12 volts at 5 amps. So that, 12 volts at 5 amps, that can be useful for quite a few little projects. That could even be useful for this project. I could find some way to jank it in there. We'll go ahead and treat this like we should though. And was not expecting to find it in there. All right, didn't have an ESD bag, but what I did have is my Pixel. My beautiful 9 Pro XL recently went out for servicing, and they mailed back inside of this cute little bag here. Again, not ESD. Now we can just leave it in there like that. But it's got this own little box here. 5 volt, 12 amp depth power supply. Okay, so we'll set it off to the side for right now. This way it's in a safe spot. And let's take a look at the other side of this housing. So I won't be able to get the Ethernet put in back inside of it. Purely because, I mean, it's possible. Possible. There might be some way of making it work. Under heatsink number 1 is just some basic stuff here. Whoop. See if I can identify anything on these chips. Back to the Husky light. Let's see. It's a Broadcom. It's the Broadcom chipset is here. And the other chipset is also the Broadcom chipset. So this is probably like Ethernet. Well, it does have 2 set of Wi-Fi. Interesting. Okay. Oh, I broke that connector. Oh, be careful. I broke that connector right there. That's rough. I did not realize I shaved off that portion. You could get it to seat. No, you can't. I'd have to replace that connector. Also, there's a little bit of liquid damage. Notice that. You can see a little bit of oxidization from like moisture damage, like right in here. Right there. Oh yeah. It happens. Okay. So we've got another Broadcom chipset, which is probably the main. Oh, silicon grease. Oh wow, that is disgusting. Another Broadcom chipset, and an ASMedia chipset. And then this right here is a MXIC Ooh. Okay. So with the MXICs back in the day, not saying that you should have done this or that I ever had any part to play in doing anything like it, but you could take this MXIC off of the Tower Max. Actually, give me a second. And take them off of these puppies, right? Got a broken screen. I know. Long story with an employee that we had when we had the repair shop. But you take the chips out of it and you could change the serial number. And uh, if they were, iCloud or they were like they were locked to like a school or something like that, and you had bought one, and their IT department didn't know how to remove it. If you had the legal right to own it and you hadn't stolen it, you could change that serial number, and Apple would know no difference. You have to change it in a specific way, but yeah, we'd have like estate sales. People come in with paperwork from like an estate sale showing that they owned it, and I, you know, would direct them in the right place to get things, resolved in that matter. It was a long, long time ago. In a galaxy far away, Naboo was under an attack. Okay. So, all right. That slides off. Then real quick, we'll just disconnect these coax cables. All right. Shut that off. Disconnect these coax cables. Yeah, they've got some like liquid damage corrosion on them. Surprised this puppy actually turns on. Obviously, the liquid damage didn't hit it where it mattered. All right. And then we'll just go ahead and lift it. Oh, hey, look at this. Ooh, there was stuff that was important. It just looked like there wasn't anything. We got a BR2330 CMOS style battery. And it looks like we have some. Is this RAM? That can't be RAM. All right, I couldn't find it, so I was trying to figure it out. Turns out what I see as the A is just the the position for like pin 1 type, deal. And they're not an off the shelf component. Looks like the part number is internal number used for Delta of a power management or magnetic power regulation components, such as inductor, choke, and possibly a LAN pulse transformer. All right. Yeah. So the reason why I that was like, is that RAM? Like what? Maybe I can put it up on the screen with the picture. We have these little windings here, and that's actually how RAM used to be wound. So I was like, maybe this is maybe it needs such a low like kilobyte or something like that. I don't know. Brain was just kind of going the best that it could. This is kind of cool. One of them seems a little crack in the ferrite ring. Either way, that is pretty nifty looking. I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of cool. I don't usually see stuff like that when I would work on like iPhones or your Android phone, or iPads or fixing your MacBook. Like this is the first time I've actually seen anything like this on a logic board. So, all right, let's lay everything out nice and pretty so we can take a picture of the whole thing torn down, kind of, iFixit style, I guess. One moment, please. All right, and that's all of it laid out. I took a picture of it, and yeah, that's it. That's everything. Yeah, I threw all the parts in a box. Okay. I mean, in a box the best they can fit. Don't judge me. Or judge me. Doesn't really matter. So we're gonna take this, and I think this is a relatively nice enclosure. Obviously I have to do some cleaning up of it because I've got, It's got a lot of gunk on it. I've touched it a few times, moving it since I came back home from work. You can see my greasy fingerprints. I don't know why my hands look dirty underneath this camera. Again, they look just fine under this camera, so I'm not quite sure what. Anyways, so we're gonna go ahead and try and get this turned into a little thing with a Raspberry Pi, which should be able to slot in somewhere right here. I'll have to figure out, maybe I'll have to go to PCBWay and order. That might be a good idea, actually. Go to PCBWay and order an Ethernet and USB that's spaced out for this, and then come up with some answer to get Ethernet fully functional here. Obviously, this one being the one that feeds the Raspberry Pi, and then these going to just like a 3-port switch. Find some way of doing this. I mean, what's this? What is this? This is going to be like 12 volt, right? Half an amp. Ooh. I think this portion of the board is just there to, I'll have to grab my black light and check it. But I'm pretty sure that portion of the board is just kind of for the shape to have a mounting point. It looks like I should be able to cut out a good portion there. And then if I wire in the Ethernet cable into this pin stack or into this shape, I can remove this with the hot air and then wire everything in and solder it into these connections here. Huh. That's an idea. All right. Anyways, we'll get to that. That's going to be a couple of months in the making before I ever get a chance to really do that. But thanks for watching this teardown. If you decided to watch it, it's 45 minutes of me playing with the screwdriver and then distractions. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. I'll put a link though to the LTT screwdriver. This is one of my favorite things. I like this thing. It's a pretty cool. I've had it since it came out. So I think it was on launch wave number 4. So yeah. That off to the side. I'm going to get up, get myself some water, and get to editing this. We'll see you guys in the next one. Don't be afraid to dive on into the Rift. Let's go play with some Linux, though, now.